TCI is brought to you by TaylorMade Stallion Unbridled Song, producing top songs year after year, including 13 Grade 1 winners. Visit unbridledsong.com.
Welcome back to TCI. I'm John Siegel alongside Joel Cunningham. Joel, seeing that you were in Vegas last week, you got to see the closing of Churchill Downs future book wagering for book one. You also got to see the Vegas odds. Tell me, what are your general observations?
Well, John, comparing the two pools, I think it's very valid just under 3 months out now to really take a snapshot on who the betting public perceives as the top contenders in this year's Kentucky Derby. And really, there's 5 horses. Now, the pools aren't really, they're not the same because at the win in the sportsbook, you can bet any horse individually. The way Churchill does it is there's obviously 20 individual betting interests, the field being one. The field is always going to be your favorite with a little over 3 months out. Wasn't any different this year. 3-2 favoritism in the Churchill future pool. And the favorites was very similar in both pools, and that's Union Rags in terms of individual betting interest. Union Rags 7-1 at Churchill, 8-1 at the Win, John. Only horse trading in single digits. Algorithms, the clear second choice in both pools, 12-1 in Churchill, 10-1 in Win. And then your next 3 horses, El Padrino, Creative Cause, and Fed Biz, all took similar kind of money. The horse that really, is trading a lot lower in Vegas than really anywhere else is Alpha, John. He's 11-1 at the Win. You could have got 19-1 on him in the Churchill Downs pool. So Alpha, very popular in Vegas right now, John. But really, those are the top 5 or 6 horses right now. But what I find interesting in a wide open year like this is looking at some of these exciting maiden winners. Maybe that showed some ability at 2, have not yet raced it at 3, or maybe coming off a loss or coming off a big-time maiden win that's still young yet. Because, again, we've talked about how wide open of a year this is. A horse like Blingo on the West Coast, Zenyatta Connections, won first time out on the turf. He's a son of Artie Schiller. Took some money in the cash call futurity as a 2-year-old. Didn't run so well. Came closing late, but was 6th. Has been working, has not resurfaced yet. But he's 40-1 right now, John. He is taking a lot more money than horses that are established stakes horses at this point. So very interesting to take a look at that future book odds at the Win and really see where the money's going. But your top 5 or 6 horses, as mentioned, are similar in both pools.
Well, it's interesting you say, a horse like Blingo is kind of, taking the money over these more proven horses.
Right.
It's kind of been that type of a theme this year where we see these young horses taking the headlines. Does that stop this weekend? That's my question. We see a lot of good horses starting to run this weekend, including Creative Cause. He's running in the San Vicente. Joel, tell me, does all the madness stop this weekend with all these maiden winners and we start seeing the real horses?
I really think the Fountain of Youth is going to give us our first indication, John, and potentially the Risen Star. Those both run next week. I'm very anxious to see both of those fields because we have a lot of good horses pointing for those races, and they're both 2-turn races. So they're more legitimate in how they're going to transfer that form to the first Saturday in May. We've talked about all the brilliant speed horses so far.
Right.
When you look at the Southwest Stakes, a lot of speed horses. When you look at the San Vicente, again, it's a 7-furlong sprint. And we know that track at Santa Anita has been playing very fast.
True.
Creative Cause. He comes in with some 3/4 works, a series of them, so we know he's going to be fit. I was really looking for somebody to maybe beat him, upset him in here, because we know this is just a prep race, but quite honestly, it's not a very good field. It's a compact field, just 6 horses in here. He draws the 2-hole. I expect him to stalk and be very classy in the stretch in here. I look at horses like Drill, who's clearly out of form. It's interesting. Right. Drill, Bob Baffert, and also owned by Mike Pegram, trained by Bob Baffert. They also have Secret Circle. They're wanting to keep Secret Circle around 2 turns, ship him to Oaklawn to run him a mile. Drill, who's run terrible his last 3 or 4 starts, they keep him here at Santa Anita, runs 7 furlongs. He's interesting. And then American Act comes out of a key maiden race. He's a son of Quiet American, so he could want more ground. I'm interested to see how he runs. He beat Bodemeister last time out, but quite honestly, I think Creative Clause lays over this field, and I expect him to get the job done, even though it's 7 furlongs.
All right, let's stay in California. Let's talk about the El Camino Real Derby, another race with graded earnings up for grabs. This is an interesting race. We have 2 East Coast riders coming over to ride in this race. Is it really 2-horse field, or does the filly have a chance?
Well, the filly, Lady of 50, comes in with 3 straight wins, stakes wins over the grounds there. Anytime you're a Tapeta Stakes winner, I think you have a shot because it's a typey surface, John. And if you remember this race last year, Silver Medallion won it. Right. Silver Medallion was a turf horse, made no impact at all on the Triple Crown Trail. And you look at a couple of the top contenders in here, they're both grass horses as well. So I like a horse like Lucky Chappy coming off the pace in here, but again, he's a grass horse, John. So I really question whether or not this race is going to have any impact on the Triple Crown going forward. It really didn't back when it was on dirt. Now, since it's been on Tapeta, it certainly hasn't improved its credibility as far as being a big-time prep.
All right, well, let's talk about a race that is definitely a big-time prep for the Triple Crown. It's the Southwest Stakes. Joel, it's oversubscribed this year. Looks like they're going to break this into 2 divisions. How's that going to work?
You know, it's very interesting, John. I talked to Frank Miramati, the announcer there at Oaklawn, a good friend of mine, and they're going to give $250,000 away in both divisions of the race. So $500,000 now they're committing to in graded earnings. It's very important that they keep the integrity of the graded earnings for both races. They're going to have about 21 or 22 horses drawn, so you're going to have a split field and around 10 or 11 in each field. They're thinking right now, and you have just a mix of horses. You have horses coming in from California, like Longview Drive, that's going to take a lot of money. Your favorite in one of the races is definitely going to be Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Secret Circle coming in for Bob Baffert. Junebug Red is the big-time local horse there. Right. Can he take the next step? Be interesting to see, you know, how that local form holds up against a lot of this California form. And there's even a lot of local maiden winners that are very interesting, John. Horses like Majestic Stride, horses like Apprehender, very flashy maiden winners that ran very fast, but have more of a sprint type pedigree. So again, this Southwest field is sort of carrying that theme we've had so far this year. Right. Wide open group of 3-year-olds, a lot of brilliant and flashy type horses who can really take that next step now and show that they can excel around 2 turns.
Well, it's going to definitely be an interesting weekend. It's going to be interesting to see how the Southwest plays out. Can Secret Circle get around 2 turns and prove himself that he can get the distance?
And he may at a mile, but will he go further beyond that? That'll be the question down the road.
Well, it's going to get answered this weekend. Thank you so much for your insight. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back on Monday. We'll recap all this craziness and see who comes out on top.